Okay, in this session, we are going to learn how to value joint and byproducts at the point of separation. So we were just discussing that we have one common process, and during that common process, we will spend some common costs. And then at the end of the process, products will be split, and we have to distribute or divide that common cost in between or among different joint products and byproducts. So we say that a joint product is an important saleable item, and so it should be separately costed. I mean, in your balance sheet, because joint product is an important, it has a substantial value. So you should be costing it separately so that you can value how much of product A do I have, how much of product B do I have. Okay. And joint process costs occur before the split of point, like the common cost we call them. And these common costs must be apportioned between the joint products at the split of point. So this was the figure we were seeing before as well. And I was telling you that let's suppose that you have a common process one and you have a common cost of $5,000. And the question arises that this is the split of point when product A, B, and X, A and B are joint products and B is and X is the byproduct. How much of 5,000 should be charged to each one of them, or what will be the value of each one of them? So first thing you need to remember that this $5,000 should not be charged to byproduct. So the common cost you are going to split only between the joint products. So you will not take it to the byproduct. So byproduct will have no value. It will have no value in your balance sheet. You will statement in your statement of financial position as inventory or whatever. So whatever this 5,000, it must be split between these two. This is the first thing you should remember. Now, how are you going to divide it? Are you going to divide it equally, like 2,500 here and 2,500 here equal? Answer is no, you cannot do that. So then how do we do that? So we've got some methods of splitting these costs. We say the main method of apportioning the joint cost, each of the which can produce significantly different results. So primarily there are two methods. I will show you three of them, but there are two. For example, number one, sales value of production, which is market value of the goods. And the second one is production unit method, which is the physical unit basis. So what does that mean? It means that let's suppose that if you have spent something like $5,000 here, and then you get product A, and then you get product B. So you see what is the production units or maybe production volume. So let's suppose that A, I get, let's suppose that A, I get 5 tons of A and I get 5 tons of B. So both of them I get in the same quantity. So I say, okay, because their quantity is same, so let's split this cost equally. So what I'm considering here, I'm considering the volume. Or possibly you might say that, you know what, I've got something like 10 tons of A and 5 tons of B. So in that case, out of this 5,000, I will give twice as much to A and half of that to B. So it will be 10 by 15 and 5 by 15. So you will say that, okay, half, one third. So you do proportionate basis based on the volume. So you say because the volume is double here, so the double cost should come here and half of the cost should come here. So what you are actually doing, you are splitting the cost based on the physical unit basis, or you call it volume based method. This volume-based method is not recommended. It is not something we agree. Why we do not agree, I will explain you. I will show you the results. I will use both of these methods and show you the results. And then I will show you with the evidence that why we should not be using it. The second method, which is recommended and which is very common, is called sales value of production. So we don't see that how much of volume of A and B we have produced. We say, what is the sale value of A? This is the cost, okay? But I have to sell it in the market. So what is the sales value of A? So the sales value of A is, say, let's call it $15,000. And this has a sales value of $10,000. So now you make a proportion based on the sales value. You say, okay, this is, it has more sales value, so it should be charged more cost. It has less sales value, so it should be charged less of the cost. How do you do that? Again, you will do proportion, total cost, total sales value is 25,000. So this should be getting this should be getting 15 by 25 multiplied by $5,000. This should be getting 10 by 25 because total is 25, 15 plus 10. So out of total 25, it has got only 10, and you multiply it with $5,000. So this is, we call it sales value method. This is the method which is recommended and which we will use. There is a third method as well, which we use in some typical scenarios, that is called net realizable value. So it says sales value minus further cost to process after product leaves joint product. What does that mean? Let's suppose that this is product A, B, C. I got here A, I got here B, and this is the split of point. And then I know that if I further process this thing, I will spend $200. And after spending $200, I can sell it for $3,000. So I don't know what is the cost here, but I only know that whatever A I get, I will do some further processing. I will spend another $200. And after spending $200, I will be able to sell it for $3,000. So it means that from 3,000, if I subtract 200, I can say that its value is 2,800 here. We say that net realizable value, sales value, which is 3,000, minus the further processing of 200. So 2,800, because I didn't know about what is the value here. I only knew that if I add 200 more, it becomes 3,000. By adding, so this was X, I didn't know, but X plus 200 is equal to 3,000. So X is 2,800. You can consider it like this, that this was X, I didn't know, but if I invest 200 more on that, so X plus 200, it becomes 3,000. So it means that essentially X is 2,800. This is a specific case. We use it in those situations where you have further processing thing. If you do not have further processing, then this method will not apply. If you do not have further processing, then this method will not apply. So anyways, these are the 1, 2, and 3 method. And method number 1, sales value of production market value. This is something which is actually we are looking at. So let's take some example with numbers, and we'll see the production unit method first. So let's suppose that this is dealing with common cost. You've got process A, you spend $2,000, then it goes to process B, you've got $1,000. Your total common cost is now $3,000. How to split this $3,000, between A and B? So because I am trying to first explain you with the physical unit method, so like the volume-based method, which I said is not recommended, but we have to learn it. So you've got 600 tons of product A and 1,200 tons of product 2. Okay, so 2 products are here, 1 and 2 with 600 and 1,200. So you do based on the proportion of volume. So you say that product A is 600, B is 1,200, total is 1,800. So the proportion becomes out of the total 1,800, 600 here, out of the total 1,800, 1,200 here. So you are getting some proportions. Okay. So then you say this was your total cost was common cost was 3,000. So how did you get here? You come here as 600 by 1,800. 600 by 1,800 for the first one, and total cost was $3,000. So you divide this, it becomes 3, it becomes 1,000. You said apportion cost come here as 1,000. Product 2 is 1,200. So you say 1,200 divided by the total, which is 1,800 for 2 products, into number into $3,000. And then when you will calculate, it becomes 2,000. So your apportion cost of $3,000 is split as 1,000 and 2,000 because the volume is double here. And then you say, okay, my cost is 1,000, my cost is 2,000 here, total cost is here. Then what was the sales value? So you were told that product one, it sells for $4 and product two is sells for $2 per ton. So you've got product one sells for $4. So $4 multiplied by 600 tons. So $4 multiplied by 600 tons, your selling price is 2,400. Your cost was 1,000 and your profit becomes 1,400. For product B, you've got the selling prices of product two is $2 per ton. So 1,200 tons multiplied by $2, your total sales will be 2,400. So cost goes as 2,000. Selling price is 2,400 because 1,200 tons time 2, and your profit is 400. Now, if you calculate your profit as the sales, like this is the profit 1,400 divided by the total sales. So you get the profit ratio. So profit ratio is profit divided by the sales value. So profit is 1,400, sales value is 2,400. My net profit ratio is 58.3%. For product B, I divide my profit by profit is 400, sales volume is 2,400. This comes as 1 by 6, and 1 by 6 means 16.7%. Your total profit, how much did you make? 14 plus 4, 1,800. Total sales, 4,800. Total net profit ratio is 37.5%. So it looks like that the business is making 37.5%, which is very good. That looks nice. But then when you see the products individually, this product is making huge profits and this product is making very little profit because it was charged a bigger portion of the cost based on the same sales value because that was selling cheap. Although its volume was more, if you see that its volume is 1,200 tons, which is double than the first one. But the sales value becomes equal because product number 2 was a cheaper product. So both have the same sales value, 24, but you are giving it more cost. And as a result, this product looks like it is making very little profit and this is making very huge profit. So it looks like that probably this method is not suitable because we are charging the cost based on the volume. The product itself is very cheap, and therefore, because it is cheap and it has large volume, it attracts more cost. And sometimes you will see that it even probably will go into losses. So therefore, we say that physical measurement method is not a fair base. It is not a fair apportionment. So you have a manager X here and manager Y here. Manager Y will always be unhappy. Manager Y will say, you know what, my product is cheap and you are giving me more cost just because I have higher volumes. So I don't like this method. So this is physical measurement method, which is not really acceptable. The other method, which is the sales value method, this is more acceptable. It's the same example. I'm continuing with the same example where you have a common cost of $3,000. Sale value of one is $4 per ton, and you had 600 tons multiplied by $4. This is the sales value. Then you've got product two, which is $2 per ton into 1,200 ton. So sales value is 2,400. Because their sales value is same, so this 3,000 should be divided same. So we should be making the division of 3,000 into product A and B or product 1 and 2 based on their relative sales value. And when you do this, you get this type of numbers. You get here common cost equal because sales value is same. You did not talk about the volume. Volume was 600 tons and 1,200 tons. You said forget about the volume. Let's talk about the sales value. So sales value was same because it was an expensive product which was selling at $4 with 600 tons. It was 1,200 tons with $2 of value. So sales value was same, cost will be apportioned same, and their profits are same. So they make equal profit. Now this looks like a bit more fair division of common cost because it will give you a balanced approach. So we would be recommending the method which we use is like based on sales value at the split off point. Okay. Then comes value of byproducts. I said that the common cost should not be given to the byproduct. So out of that $5,000, it will be split between A and between B, and nothing goes to, because these were the joint products. Okay. These are the joint products, and 5,000 should be split between A and B. C is a byproduct, and we don't take any common cost to C. That's for sure. Then what do we do with the byproduct? Now, byproduct, what we do, usually we sell the byproduct at a very low price, like the sawdust. I told you the sawdust is a very cheap thing. How do you value then? So what happens that byproducts has two accounting treatment. If number one, probably it is byproduct is one-off, or probably, I mean, sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not happen, or probably sometimes it happens more, sometimes it happens less. So you cannot really forecast how much of the byproduct you will get. If that is the case, and you still sell the byproduct because you are not going to throw it out of your window, whether it is more or it is less, it is money. You will sell it, and you will sell it, and whatever you receive, you will call it your other income. So you do not give it any cost. Its value is zero for you. So when you sell it for $2 or $4, you will call it your other income. This is one possibility. The second possibility of byproduct is that it is a regular occurrence. Regular occurrence means that you know that every time when you will do this production process, so you are going to get probably 600 tons of A and 1,200 tons of B, and probably you will get 1 ton of byproduct, whatever. So it's a regular occurrence. You know that every time it will come. So when this is the case, then you use this sales value to reduce your common cost. So you use it as a reduction in your cost. For example, I will say that I will get 1 ton of byproduct, and that 1 ton of byproduct I will be able to sell, because I know that every time it will be 600 tons, it will be 1,200 ton, and I will get something very little value, 1 ton of product X, and this I can sell it for $300. Oh, so I had a common cost of $5,000. So what you do, you subtract from this 5,300, and you say that my common cost is now 4,700. So this, the benefit or the sales value which you receive, if it is a regular outcome, so whatever sales value you get from here, you use it to reduce your common cost. And you say my common cost is not 5,000. Actually, my common cost is 47, because I will spend 5,000 and this 3,000 I will get anyway. So let's use it to reduce this one, because I don't want to show it in my balance sheet as a separate thing. So you say my common cost is 4,700. This is how it works. Okay. So value of byproducts. Process accounts and byproduct, we say that when preparing process accounts, joint cost should be treated as normal output from a process. Yes, we know joint cost, common cost are the normal output from a process. The treatment of byproduct in process costing is like the treatment of normal loss. So byproducts are like normal loss, and the byproduct income is credited to the process account. Credited to the process account means you decrease the cost of the process account. So before you had $5,000 debit on your process account, and you say, okay, now it is $300 credit. So that makes you 4,700 as the process cost. Your process cost will become 4,700 because that was debited 5,000. You receive 300. So you say, I must credit it to the process account, and I reduce my common cost. This is the accounting treatment. I just explained it. To calculate equivalent units in a period, byproducts, equivalent units we are not doing. This is not something we are interested in. So this is all for this chapter.